The reason I'm here today is just to discuss the upcoming 4th of July holidays concerning animals and the intake that we will take in during this week. Traditionally, this week is the busiest week that we will have throughout the entire year, with July 5th being the single busiest day that we will have of any animal intakes throughout the entire year. Just a reminder, July 4th, we are closed there at the Wichita Animal Shelter. So basically what I wanted to do is kind of give a few tips and pieces of advice on what you can do as a pet owner to help your animal to prevent from getting scared and possibly ending up in our facility. So if your pet is outdoors, what we recommend is if you know that they have an anxiety issue or maybe are scared of the fireworks, if you can, bring them inside. Put them in a room that they know that they can be comfortable. Maybe they feel safe. That's probably one of the easiest ways of preventing them from getting out. Another thing is if your animal is used to being in a crate, put them in that crate. Cover it with a heavy blanket to where it kind of creates a dark and what you can consider a safe place, which will help calm that animal down. One of the other things is if your animals can't go outside, or I'm sorry, if they're outside animals and you don't have the choice of bringing them inside, then make sure that if there's an area where they could get out, maybe an opening in the fence, maybe there's a gate that doesn't really latch very good, make sure that those areas are shut down. Make sure that you can prevent that animal, your pet, from getting out, which will help with preventing them from coming into our facility. Another thing, sometimes make sure that you feed your pet before any of the fireworks start. A lot of times a pet with a full belly, they can get more relaxed, and a lot of times they'll just fall asleep, and sometimes they'll just sleep right through the fireworks. If you know that your pet has some issues, you can also go to any of the pet supply stores. A lot of times they'll have a anti-anxiety. They usually sell some type of equipment. Sometimes that may be a vest that you can put on them, and it helps that pet think that he's being petted or soothed by his owner. Also, sometimes in extreme cases, you can go to your veterinarian and they can prescribe an anti-anxiety pill for your pet. So, anybody got any questions?
So typically what happens is fireworks are shot off, and that'll startle a pet and get loose.
Right.
And that's where the flood of the calls come.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very common. Like I said, we've started seeing quite a increase starting last Friday. As a matter of fact, I know last Thursday we had 40 animals come in, and that's between over the counter and then our folks being out in the field and picking them up. As soon as fireworks start getting being sold in the city, that's when we start seeing an increase. Granted, you may not think 40 is a lot, but when you're dealing with a shelter in the busy season and we're almost at capacity now, and then you have an influx of 40, it's concerning.
How much more, can you talk about the jump? You said the July 5th is the busiest day specifically. Mm-hmm. I guess, can you give us numbers or rough estimates of how much busier it is compared to a typical day?
I don't have exact numbers. Percentage-wise, I would say you're probably at least a 40% increase in just our intakes. And then, the one thing I want to remind folks is if your animal does get out and it does end up at the shelter and you show up to pick them up, say on July 5th, please be patient. We'll work as soon as fast as we possibly can to get you reunited with your pet, but you just need to have the understanding that we are going to be very, very, very busy on July 5th.
Do you have extra staff working on the 5th?
We will have extra staff, yes.
As far as capacity goes, is there a possibility that you could happen to put multiple dogs together?
No, that's not even an option. We're actually looking, and this isn't going to happen this week, but we're actually going to re-examine the way we have the shelter set up. For dogs, for instance, we have 170 kennels, but only 80 of those are what we call general population. That's where any of your normal dogs can go. We're looking to revamp some of our hallways and maybe be able to increase that by about 20 to where we'd have 100 that we could consider going into general population. You know, those other ones are divided, right now the other 90 are divided up among your sick and injured, your rabies, any of your dogs that might be involved in a police investigation, from neglect or abuse. So, it's all divided up that way.
So you'll see people bring in dogs that have been found, then you'll see people that are looking for their pet.
Right.
And when with both of those things together, that makes it way.
Exactly. Yep. And just a reminder, we open the doors at 11 on the 5th. So, folks will have to wait until then. If you come by on July 5th, more than likely you're going to see a pretty good line outside of the building. It is very common on July 5th.
And I take it, if your dog gets out, hopefully the dog is chipped, your pet is chipped, there's a collar, it makes maybe that process a little bit easier.
Exactly. Yeah, any way that we can help reunite that pet with their owner and make it as smooth and as quick as possible, that's why we highly recommend that everybody has their pets microchipped. It's such an easy way of being able to scan them. Boom, we automatically know who the owner is, and we can get in touch with that owner and say, hey, your pet's up here, and then we can get that pet and that owner reunited.
And a collar would help as well.
Yeah, a collar would help. Even if folks decide not to microchip, having a collar, having a number that we can cross-reference, anything like that definitely helps. As far as microchips go, we can do that, install it right there at the shelter, and it's $15. So.
If they don't, do they have to bring in some kind of proof that their animal's there?
Yes. A lot of the times, people will bring in pictures, Facebook post, anything like that. If we feel very, very confident that pet does belong to that person, then yes, we can release that pet to that person.